What is going on, you guys? This is DerekJ Speaks, and we are here to talk about WWE Friday Night SmackDown live from the Uber Arena in Berlin, Germany. WWE is beginning an overseas tour, and the first stop here was in Berlin, where the show was built around a huge championship main event, 3 stages of hell, between the WWE Champion Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. This is a feud that has been going on for several months now, with Drew McIntyre constantly challenging Cody Rhodes for that championship and constantly coming up short and getting screwed over and getting beaten over and over and over again. And it has all built up to this big match on this show, with the entire third hour. Yes, SmackDown is back to 3 hours. The entire third hour dedicated to this match, commercial free, all attention on this match. And in the end, we have a brand new WWE champion, and his name is Drew McIntyre. After a little assistance from a returning Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre managed to survive the 3 stages of hell, and he emerged as the victorious one, and yes, the brand new WWE champion. After all these years of Drew constantly getting screwed over overseas, whether it was in Scotland or at WrestleMania or WrestlePalooza, all these different PLEs and events where he constantly goes after the championship and comes up short, he finally walks out here as the champion over Cody Rhodes, and what turned out to be an overall pretty good match. The match itself, 3 stages of hell. I mean, basically a special 2 out of 3 falls match, but the key part here is that the first fall was a singles match, second fall was falls count anywhere, and of course, if they made it to the third fall, it turned into a steel cage match. With the way this whole match was set up, to me, they kind of got through those first 2 falls a little too easily, to the point where once they got to the cage match at the end, it felt like that cage match extended very long. And this is a problem that comes from time to time when WWE does these 2 out of 3 falls matches, where the match starts, first fall is over in 5 minutes, second fall is over in 3 minutes, and then they go to that third fall and they wrestle for another 10 or 15 minutes. And it's like, why even bother have the 2 out of 3 fall stipulation at that point? But regardless, I thought the match overall was pretty good. The fans, the crowd here in Berlin, they were more so split on Cody, and a lot of them were in favor of Drew McIntyre. Cody got a lot more boos than even I thought. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by this, but yeah, between him and Drew, I'd say the crowd was more so in Drew's favor, with pockets of fans for Cody. So of course the first match is the straight singles match, and they didn't really do a whole lot. Cody was a house of fire. You know, he's been egged on by Drew with the whole stipulation of heading into this match, had he touched Drew, he would have been stripped of the championship. So Drew has been playing mind games, talking about Dusty and doing all kinds of dastardly stuff. And so in this match, there wasn't a whole lot of technical wrestling on display here, but Drew did manage to win this fall when he outsmarted Cody. Drew undid the top turnbuckle pad. The referee went over to put it back on, and with his back turned, Drew gave Cody a low blow, then reared back, hit him with a claymore, and got the 1-2-3. And Drew McIntyre pins Cody Rhodes to win that first fall. This is probably the first time Drew has pinned Cody, so I guess that's a big deal. They didn't really make it that big of a deal, in my opinion, but hey, it was still a big deal. So then the next fall up, falls count anywhere. They immediately go to the floor, fight in the crowd, fight backstage, very temporarily. Again, just felt like they were kind of rushing through this, and there wasn't a whole lot of time to really go as crazy as they could. I miss the days of the hardcore title and when they really took advantage of the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation and went outside and went, all over the place. But I guess they needed to be closer to ringside so they could find their way back over to the cage. So they did that. But we did get some cool stuff. At one point, Cody dove in the crowd, when they were fighting in the crowd, he dove off the stands, landed on Drew, threw a table onto the concrete. They were fighting over by ringside again, and Cody landed a crossroads onto and through the announce table, and that was enough to put Drew away. So we were all knotted up 1-1 here, and then the cage match started. And again, this took up the bulk of the remainder of the match. The crowd kind of quieted down a little bit. I wasn't really feeling what they were doing, but they started to pick things up, especially as the match got deeper and it started to get more near falls. Cody started to bleed a little bit. There was like just a dash of blood on the back of his bleached blonde head, but we got some back and forth with the finishers. Cody hit 2 crossroads, was going for the trifecta, but on the third attempt, Drew raked his eyes, backed him up in the corner. Cody tried to charge at him, but Drew sidestepped him, and Cody landed face first onto an exposed turnbuckle. And when he did that, Drew hit the Claymore, only good for a 2 count. Both men found themselves on top of the cage. Drew got knocked off, but then Cody came off the top of the cage and hit a Cody cutter. That was a crazy bump. Somehow wasn't the finish because Cody wasn't going to win the match, but still a crazy bump to take. And then eventually both men found themselves on the top rope by the cage, and they were bashing each other off of the cage wall until they both ended up crotching each other. Both got crotched on the top rope, so double low blows for both of them. They are laid out, but Drew is closer to the door, so he starts to crawl over to the door. Referee Charles Robinson's on the outside. He's opening the door, and then a masked man emerges. He stops Charles Robinson. He literally shoves him out of the way, and then Drew looks up. The man takes off the hoodie and mask, and it's revealed to be Jacob Fatu, who of course was written off TV a few months ago to deal with a dental injury that he had. But they wrote him off with a whole mystery angle of who attacked Jacob Fatu, with many people pointing in the obvious direction of it being Drew McIntyre, and that looked like what the direction they were going here was, because Fatu got in the cage, in the ring, he attacked Drew. Cody came over, he saw this, he tried to pull Jacob off of him, but then Jacob started throwing hands on Cody, and then he started to pummel Cody on the opposite side of the ring in the corner. Meanwhile, Drew McIntyre slinks and sneakily crawls out of the door, gets on the ground, both feet on the floor, and Drew McIntyre wins the championship. So that is the way in which Drew McIntyre won the WWE Championship on this show. After the match, Drew is in the aisle. Jacob is still in the ring. He's looking out at him, and then Cody from behind pushes Jacob into the cage wall, takes him out, and then Cody is just glaring down over at Drew and looking pissed off because he was screwed out of the championship here. So WWE actually had the balls to do it. After teasing these McIntyre wins and constantly screwing him out of the championship, we got to this match here, and it felt like the right time to pull the trigger, but I just did not have full faith and trust in WWE to do it. But they did it. They did it in a way that wasn't the strongest victory for Drew, obviously. Jacob Fatu coming in there. You had interference in a steel cage match. I know a lot of people don't like that. I generally don't like that. I had a feeling Jacob Fatu was going to return on this show, and he was going to attack Drew McIntyre, but I thought it was going to be done in a way that would cost Drew the match. So the fact that he inadvertently helped him win was a nice subversion of expectations there. Also, the fact that Fatu attacked Cody Rhodes. It wasn't that he just went after Drew, and in that fit of rage, that accidentally gave him the win. He intentionally went after Cody Rhodes. So I don't know if that's going to play into this whole whodunit angle with who attacked Jacob. Maybe he thinks it's Drew, but he also thinks it's Cody. I don't know if they're going to, eventually have that reveal to be one or the other. That should be very interesting to see where they go with this. Cody is no longer a champion. I imagine that won't be for very much longer, but he will not be next up to get a shot because on this very show, they had multiple people. And for the past couple of weeks now, they've had multiple people come out on TV on this show declaring their intentions to win the championship. We've seen it with Randy Orton and Sami Zayn. On this show, Damian Priest confronted Drew McIntyre backstage. Cody Rhodes was confronted by Matt Cardona, who returned/debuted on the show the previous week. So a lot of people clamoring for that championship, which is good because it makes the championship feel that much more important. But on this show, right around the time right before the main event, Nick Aldis made an announcement that next week on the show, they're going to be in London. And on that show, there are going to be 4 singles matches where the winners of those matches will advance to a fatal 4-way match at Saturday night's main event. I believe that's on January 24th. That's a week before the Rumble. And on that show, that 4-way match, the winner of that match will challenge the WWE champion at the Royal Rumble. So, based on who is all in that situation there, doesn't look like Cody's getting another shot immediately. So, the lineups we have for next week are Randy Orton versus The Miz, which I imagine is a win for Randy. Damian Priest versus Solo Sikoa. Could go either way. I'm going to pick Solo in that match. Trick Williams versus Matt Cardona. Trick is new. He got a win on this show, on this week's show against Phoenix. And he brushed up shoulders with Randy Orton and Sami Zayn in recent weeks. So I can imagine him being in that match. And speaking of Sami, he's going to face Ilya Dragunov, which of those 4 matches, that's easily the one I'm looking forward to the most. I imagine Sami will get the win there. And then the 4-way match will be Randy, Solo, Trick, and Sami. And of those 4, if one of them is going to go on to challenge Drew at the Rumble, I could see it being Sami. I imagined, with the Rumble being in Saudi Arabia, Sami usually gets big reactions over there. I imagined that he might be in the Rumble match, might even be a sentimental favorite for that crowd in the Rumble match. But now, given this scenario, I could see him winning that 4-way and being the one to challenge Drew for the championship on that show. Not a whole lot of time to promote it, given that Saturday night's main event is literally a week before the Rumble. So you'll have one television show and then the next night is literally the Rumble. But I could see that being the case. Now, as far as Drew, I don't think he's going to be champion for very much longer. I don't think he's going to lose at the Rumble, but I don't think he's walking into Mania with it. So if I had to predict where I think this might be going, it could be one of 2 scenarios. One, Cody is pissed. He got screwed out of the championship, and he politics his way into the match at the Rumble to make it a triple threat. Might even get further teases of a potential Cody Rhodes heel turn, which, unlike last year, I feel like this year we are a little closer to that being a possibility. So maybe that's the direction they go into. Cody's been showing shades of gray recently with this whole feud with Drew, so maybe he takes it upon himself to reinsert himself into the situation, makes the match at the Rumble a triple threat, and that's where he wins the belt back. Otherwise, I could see Cody being in the Rumble match along with Jacob Fatu. They can sort out their issues there. Cody, of course, doesn't win the Rumble, but I could see a scenario where Drew McIntyre ends up defending his championship inside the Elimination Chamber. Cody's one of the participants, and that's how Cody gets the belt back. If they wanted to keep the belt on Drew and have him going into WrestleMania as champion, I would have no issue with that whatsoever. I love Drew. I'm glad he's the champion again, finally. But it's one thing for him to win here, but I always suspected that if he were to win the championship, it would pretty much be a pretty short run. And if he beat Cody for it, he would lose it right back to Cody not much long afterwards. So I suspect that'll be a similar scenario here. But again, I don't know. So this turns things up a little bit. Drew as the champion, Cody not imminently, at least as of now, getting a rematch for it. Where does Jacob Fatu play into things here? How is his return going to impact things? And, the fact that he not only attacked Drew, but also Cody. A lot of questions here. So that makes things a little more interesting, which is what you want. SmackDown is 3 hours again. I don't really like that, but you want stuff like this to make the show interesting and build intrigue for the show. So that's good. Elsewhere on the show, not a whole lot else happened. I'm not really here to talk about everything else that happened on this show. We had Julia defending her U.S. Championship against Alexa Bliss. That's worth pointing out because it was nice to see Julia actually facing someone of credibility. So her against Alexa, of course she beat Alexa thanks to interference from Lash legend and Nia Jax. So that was good to see. No Charlotte Flair. They claimed that she was out sick, but then you had Lash and Nia planting seeds of doubt and dissension, saying that, once the attention's on Alexa, Charlotte's nowhere to be found. So we'll see if they play that up. Also, Jordynne Grace from NXT. She debuted officially on the show. She's officially on SmackDown. She got a win over Alba Fire. Not much to the match, just a lot of power moves from her, but still very good to see more new faces in the women's division on SmackDown. She was even confronted on the stage after the match by Jade Cargill, who desperately needs some fresh challengers or any challenger whatsoever for her championship. She won that title in November, is yet to defend it. So I don't know if Jordynne will be the one to face her for it. That seems ill-advised to have Jordynne Grace immediately out the gate challenge and lose to Jade, but at least it's a fresh matchup. And Carmelo Hayes had a U.S. Championship Open challenge on this show. He beat Shinsuke Nakamura. Kind of a slow match. Nakamura was working over the leg a little bit, but not too bad. We had an 8-man tag team match with the MFTs against the Wyatt Six, and the MFTs won. Solo and his crew. I guess Solo could lose that match to Priest if Uncle Howdy and the Wyatts make an appearance and cost him the match. So I take that back. I think Damian Priest will go on to that 4-way match. It doesn't matter whether it's Solo or Priest. Ain't neither one of them gonna face Drew for the championship at the Rumble, so that doesn't even matter. But so there you go. I'm not a big fan of the MFTs, Wyatt stuff. Neither faction have really done a good enough job, in my opinion, of establishing actual characters between them and really getting me interested in seeing these individual people together. So them just having a bunch of multi-man matches every week and cutting promos and stuff doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. But the feud shall continue, I guess. Solo stole the lantern that Uncle Howdy uses, so I guess that's something. But this show, the entire third hour was dedicated to that championship match. That's what this show was about, and it delivered. And we got a big finish from it, and now a lot of questions and theories going forward into the Rumble and even into WrestleMania. So we'll see how all of this plays out, and that's about it for me. So thanks for listening. I'll keep track of this. I don't know if I'll review the show in London next week. Highly doubt it, but I'll pay attention. And obviously I'll be back around the time of the Rumble, so we'll see how all this plays out as we head to that show. But till next time, of course, like what you see, like what you hear, hit that like button and follow me on Twitter /X at DerekJ Speaks. Till next time, take care.